Okay, it is a Tuesday podcast, and I am wearing a bright highlighter sweatshirt again, but I thought if I opened up the chest, it would look a little bit more unique.
I did cinematic, by the way.
I'm not allowed.
Why?
Because Alexa said, do not do cinematic.
Okay, so I guess I'll stop.
I could do it.
Okay, we're back. Guys, it's Tuesday, and it's been quite the journey of days, life, and years.
It's like we go through hubs of time where we like podcast. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, we spent too much time in the basement. Let's go live some life.
Yeah.
And then we're like, and then it's like, oh, you need to podcast. So funny. I see like so many podcasters like, I got to sit down and I got to do my podcast, you know? And I'm like, because it creeps up on you, especially when you do 4 a week, which we love, by the way.
When I'm going away next week, so we have to bank, which we have to do a bunch more because when I'm away, we won't be podcasting. Yeah. So I have to get a whole bunch
out. We're just gonna talk a lot this week.
I like that. You know, it's really interesting because I had parent teacher interviews, and I've been very cognizant of making sure that I speak about my children when I don't think they're listening about them, the things I want them to think of themselves. Mm-hmm. And the self-reflection, they asked my son to do a self-reflection, and everything that I tell him or told him was a self-reflection. And I was like,
so was Chloe's.
Something
she said, you said, those are my words.
Yeah. And I was like, holy
working.
Shit. And then it's so interesting because on our way home from a dance competition, Taylor's like, I didn't like that one this much as I liked it better last year, was saying it. Like, didn't my daughter the next day
say the exact same thing?
Repeat Taylor's words to a T. I didn't even know if she realized that she was speaking Taylor's words.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said, Chloe, that's not true, actually. You loved it and you had a different experience. I said, Taylor, you didn't even go you watched it last year for half an hour. You weren't there. It wasn't your experience.
So who was she talking to?
The car. Like to me, Olivia, and I had to be like, that's not your experience, honey. You laughed your face off. You went for dinner. You had so much fun. And I just thought to myself, I think they're so young. They can't determine
what their experience and their influencer's experience.
It was when I was like, Taylor, you're repeating word for word, like literally word for word, what she said. Mm-hmm. Like, and I was like, she's like, last year was so much better. I'm like, You what? I was like, dude, like you went as a
spectator,
as a viewer last year. You at the time, this is your second competition, and you at the time of your life. Mm-hmm. Nice try though. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, I was like, wow, we're so you really can manipulate your children to what you want them to think. Also, I was at the park and Chloe was being shy with her friend because her friend had another friend there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And she sat like beside me. Mm-hmm. And I said to the other moms, because she was like, they're like, do you want to come play? And she kept being like, no. And I said to them, oh, it's so interesting because usually Chloe's so confident and she just makes a million friends the minute she walks into a room. It's just so curious. Like I go, it's interesting that she's not feeling that way today. And then she's like, I'll be right back. And then ran and went and played. And she's like, I don't want that to be my narrative. The minute I said that she's not shy, that she's not confident today, and then she just went and played, and I was like, I just manipulated the shit out of you, and you weren't even aware that I just reverse psychology'd you.
Yeah, and then it's crazy because then, our words will always be important to them, but then that's going to mix with, like an example, Taylor, it's going to mix with your words plus the people they look up to, who no matter who they are.
Yep, and in our dance competition, Taylor and Chloe dance together for the same studio. And so they're at the same competitions. And Taylor is obviously a lot older than Chloe's team and is like is like the queen. Like everyone's like, Taylor. Like Taylor gets on the stage and they just scream for Taylor.
The little girls.
Which is so funny because they're all like, go Taylor. And then I'm like, that's your clout, Chloe, that you get to hang out with Taylor. So like you get to go with Taylor, you get to be with Taylor. And I'm like,
so cute.
You've got clout in Taylor. It's just very cute. So obviously Taylor has a huge influence on Chloe and her thoughts and the way she can do things. And I was like, that is just so fucking mind blowing that really words matter. And if you can narrate their vibe for them, you can actually do it. You can put in good or bad, and it's never too late.
Yeah.
And if you talk about them not to them, but about them to like a friend and don't think they're listening, they're fucking listening.
And we did spend that last weekend at dance, and we're going again to dance this weekend. That's correct. 2 weekends in a row.
Yep.
It is it's such a nice environment.
I know.
It is so positive. Everyone's so kind to each other. Girls lend each other things like eyeliners and lip glue. I mean, eye glue and all this stuff. It's just like, I'm like, Taylor, never, because the moms are asking me, is Taylor going to be doing it again next year? I go, Taylor will be doing it until the end of time. Let me tell you.
I know.
Please.
I know. It's sad though, because she is getting less and less interested.
I wouldn't say she's less and less interested in dance at all. I mean, she never complains, never misses.
No.
It's just that there are girls at that age that like they need more focus on schoolwork. So they can't spend 12 hours at the thing, and they have to decide. And I mean, for me, it's like hard because she's at dance so often, and that sometimes becomes like her teacher's like, well, I know she's at dance, but she has to, put priorities and all this. And I'm like, in a different situation, I'd be like, if you don't get good marks, you're not going to dance. But I want her to go to dance, like as much as she wants to go to dance.
I know.
Because
it's also their confidence, right? Like I think that we are so crazy with schoolwork, but like it takes away their like overall mental health of what they're doing in their life and being connected to other things. It's like
other people and another world. It's like I have to say it, and I say it to Kat, and I love it because I remember, what I was like as a teenager and other girls, and these girls are walking around, teenagers, blossoming in all their beauty from hair to boobs to periods to everything, walking around in front of everybody in a bathing suit, sometimes like a bikini.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
I know. I know it is like such an all body types. You
all
guys.
Body types.
I think that's the biggest misnomer is that people are like, you've got to, because I guess it's not ballet. It's like, it's full body types. And as they get older, their bodies obviously change and get bigger, right? Because they're not rails, like they're not like little rails anymore. And the little girls are watching like 15-year-olds with full woman bodies, not like strong bodies. Like you have to be strong to do what they're doing. Yeah. And it's like, they're not shy. They're not like hidden under it. It's like, they are like so.
Yes. It's such a good example for the younger kids to see these bodies too.
Oh my God, to watch, because if you are a child with not that body, because there are a lot of the dancers who are naturally very lean and
just like there's lots of everybody that are naturally lean.
Yep. And the other children they're watching are all different body types, and one body type's not winning. One hair look is not winning. Not one dance is winning. It's like all variety of dances. But poor little Chloe sat there and we fucking watched dance all weekend. Like her dedication is real. And she's like, I wish I made it to the finals. And I was like, thank God you didn't, because we'd be in a basement all weekend. But I thought that was so cute that she was like, I want to be there. Because I was like, thank God we're out here.
Yeah. Well, also because this competition, our girls only got to dance once.
I know.
If you get made to the finals, at least you're involved for long, because it's just about being involved. It's really the life behind the stage too, if you're not super, super competitive. But I have to say, I used to think that dancers had to have, I'm just learning this for the first time. I don't know anything about dance, right? But like I'll watch like America's Got Talent and stuff, and you see the dance troops, they all have like, lean bodies. I didn't know that you could be quite bigger than everybody else and be freaking flipping around and doing splits. Like I didn't know that until I started going to dance. I always thought like, oh gosh, I hope Taylor doesn't feel the pressure of these girls all being so lean and stuff. And I'm like, nope.
No,
every single kind.
Yeah. Thank
goodness.
Thank goodness. And I know that I'm sure that some of them struggle with disordered eating, and I'm not saying that it's a perfect sport, but I don't know if dance is necessarily the trigger, because the only thing is you are looking in a mirror. It could be a trigger, but I don't think it's a catalyst. Like I think if you've got things in you and like more surroundings, it could definitely be something that triggers,
because you have to be naked all the time
and mirrors. Yeah. And you're comparing yourself and you are looking at other people beside you all day long. But it's not something, it's like such a powerful, because there's all types of dance. It's not just like ballet or like,
I think it's ballet that has like the worst rep, because they weigh them, I think.
You have to be so tiny, especially if you're doing lifts, and like, hopefully it changes, but I don't know of that yet. And so far, our girls really have not touched upon this thing of not being small enough or thin enough or pleasing other people for the way they look.
But at the same time, being aware of the differences and just knowing this is what I am.
What do you mean?
Like, it's like, I feel like my daughter is like, she is aware that her body, like, I'm not going to say specific things that she'll say, but she's aware that, you know, it's hard for me to wear this kind of clothes, not because she needs to lose weight, because that doesn't work for her body type, you know, and she's been like that for a long time. Like, well, they can wear that, she can wear that, but I need to wear this.
Got it.
You know, because I guess because it's comfortable and there was frustration for a little bit that, the pants that people were wearing that were like, you know, like straight leg and loose were skin tight on some parts of our body. She's like, that's annoying because I can't like go all the way up a size. This is my body. And I said, there is like, I worked at a jean store. And if you guys don't know this, they can change the jeans to fit your body and it doesn't like cost that much. So a lot of people, women naturally will have a bigger hips and bum and thighs and then a smaller waist. It happens often. It's not my case, but this is something they do all the time, taking in the waist. And I remember telling people when I worked at the jeans store and they're like, are you serious? Because I wouldn't have known either. I just thought these jeans don't fit. But you go bigger size and you can take in the waist. And that's really common for women. But people don't know.
I know that you can make things out. You can take things out too in certain spots. Like a lot of our dresses, we have to take out here or go down here or go up here. So they can alter them. Listen, the alterations, if you find a wicked seamstress, it's not terrible. But
you can like remake a dress because, you know, you're not necessarily a small. You're a small on your boobs, but you're a large on your chest side, you know, on your like ribs. And then you're all these, and they can't make clothes custom.
No.
So you can take them to dressmakers and you can be like, I could never wear that. And then you buy it and you take it and they're like, yep, I can do this for you.
The other thing is, I think a lot of people question like, you know, and I am not blaming moms at all in this conversation. And I really want to make that like so super clear. But I really do wonder how many people are insecure or not confident in their own bodies and their own selves without even knowing it and not even speaking it, but passing it along to their children without them being aware that that's how they feel. Because I really think that as moms, you can't pour confidence into them unless you have to live it. I don't think you can speak it. And I just really, if I sat down and said to a mom, you know, like, if a mom said to me, I just wish they had more confidence, I would look at them and be like, how much confidence do you have? And this is not to be like, it's because of you. I just don't think you can fill up their cup if you don't believe that you have it. How are they supposed to believe that they have it when you're not living it? And it's not even the way you speak about yourself or the way you live. It's kind of like a nature where the animals know who's weak and sick without them even having to say it, because it's like this way you carry yourself. It's the way you talk to other people. It's the way you accept compliments. It's the way you...
I was just thinking, it's so funny. I was just thinking about that with, I don't know what boy I was with, but I was out in public and I don't know why it just like hit me. It was like the way that we treat servers, people in parking lots, like other cars, or like in traffic, or in doctors, and all of this stuff. They're learning how to interact with the world by watching you. And I just thought to myself, you know, because some people are just kind of cranky out there, and I was like, they're watching me being like so friendly to people. I hope that they take that with them, because I'm not doing it intentionally, but it just crossed my mind, like just to be a nice person in the world.
I think we underestimate that so much, because if you think of our younger generation, we used to have to, number one, talk on the phone. We used to hear our parents have to talk on the phone. And we used to hear like business meet, like you used to actually hear everyone talking, and now everyone just emails or texts. And even like to book a restaurant, you have to go online and do it. Like there's no longer manners of like, hi, I remember the time when I had to teach my children how to say hello when they answered the phone.
Hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Because they
Yes.
and to say goodbye. And it's a real thing, because they were never on the phone. They just, if you watch your teenagers, they'll just hang up on each other and they won't know to say, hello, goodbye. There's no phone manners because they've never watched us mimic us do it. And often when you call your partner or someone you're really close with, they're like, what's up?
Yeah.
Not like, hey. And I think that's really important to remember whenever you pick up the phone to mimic what you want them to do, because this is all they're going to hear of phone talking is what's that? Or like, yeah, and they do that. And I'm like, fuck no, say hello to me. And then let's move on. Like my kids are like,
Yeah, no, I don't think my kids are ever going to be like, hey, mom. Actually, no. Teddy does it, but with sarcasm.
Oh,
like, hey, mommy.
when they have to call someone and you have to be like, hi, ask for them. What do I do? I'm like, are you serious? You don't know how to make a phone call, right? I'm not calling them. I'm like, Olivia, to make a table reservation. I'm not doing that. I'm like,
oh, I've heard her do it. She's fine.
Now she does it.
Yeah.
The first time I'm like, I'm not doing this for you. Call.
Yeah. Yeah. But even making reservations and stuff like that, because that's the stuff that they're going to need to know how to do.
Exactly. And call to talk to someone, to change something, to do something.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're going to have to learn how to talk on the phone, but all of this confidence and like all of the way I think you have to live it. And I think we spend so much pressure on trying to teach it to them. And I don't think it has to be that complicated.
And we've had teenagers express to us, like they see through their parents too. Like, this one teenager basically told us like her mom's obsessed with working out and eating clean and no sugar. And she was so annoyed with her mom because in a way to this younger teenager, first of all, she like inherently felt the pressure, but also she's kind of like, it's because from a kid's perspective, if everything they're learning, like people are trying to tell them to like, don't worry about these kind of things, just live your life. Like it's like, you're annoyed with your mom for not being so 2023 about it.
I know.
Like, mom, like that was maybe when you were young, it's okay to say that stuff and do that stuff, but like, that's not how it is anymore.
I know. And what they pick up when you're not aware, like even because Natalie cooks. And I think when you're a chef, you don't eat the food. Like you don't sit down and eat the meal. It's kind of like you eat your way through the meal.
Yeah.
And then Chloe's like, you never eat.
No, she says, I've never seen you eat.
I've never seen you eat. But Natalie's usually the one
so
cooking.
Funny.
And I thought that was for a 7-year-old to have that interpretation of you not eating is so weird.
And she just said it off the cuff. And it's so funny because I have always, like, by the time the meal is served, I'm already full because I'm tasting it all the way through. Like I think about like my pastas and my rolls. I need to know if it's good. And then dinner is always like a little bit later. So I'm going and just like tasting it until it's time to serve them. That when I sit down to dinner, I'm not ready for a full meal. You know, like I'm already kind of full.
I know.
And then I might pick off their plates or if there's some leftovers when they're done eating. But like I rarely will sit down and fill my plate the way they fill their plates.
I know. It's just such an interesting, but they wouldn't know why.
No.
They're just like, you don't eat.
Yeah.
And it's just such I was like,
so
but
funny.
again, that's such an important lesson for every mom to hear this, that like, fucking sit down and fill your plate and eat with them. Like eat with them in your plate, because I think all of us are guilty. I stand at the counter because they all want water. They all want things. Like I actually very rarely sit down at dinner time because usually someone is like, can I have this? Can I have this? Can I have this? And I think that's why a table's good, because we just sit at the bar.
I actually do sit down with them most nights now, and like I'll call them all over, and then I put like the food in the middle of the table and they serve themselves. I'm not necessarily eating it, so but they all sit down to eat dinner now, which also makes me be like, don't leave the table without taking your dishes.
Yes.
But I mean, it's crazy if I see them stand up and walk away from the table with a plate when we're sitting at dinner and they're without a plate. Like, what do you mean?
Oh, when they don't clear the table.
They'll walk away from the table and they'll leave their plate there. But when you're sitting at it like a proper table, it's very obvious who didn't take their plate.
I know.
But then again, you know what? Like we blame them, but have I been taking their plates for too long? Because if there was no option, they would absolutely never leave the table without their plate. So like we need to just make it a habit. No one's taking your plate. I mean, my neighbor, Best, he didn't clean up his shit. She put his shit on his bed.
Well, I
fucking love that, by the way.
I just think that, parenting is so much work. Like when you actually have to like break it down, when you're trying to like when you're trying to create a person's persona and who they are, and then like confidence, and like make sure you're putting them in the right sports, but not the sports that are going to fuck them up for life, and make sure that there's not too much pressure. But if they want the pressure, like it's just this constant juggle, right? Especially if you have kids who like want to be in high level sports. And the balance of trying to live the confidence, make sure that they're feeling it, because I don't know many kids toddlers are born confidently. Most are just born it. And then at some point we begin to dig it away. And then they kind of hit like peak non-confidence. I want to say around grade 7, 8, 9. Like you begin to just get like lose everything, including boys. I think boys are really under the radar of what we think. They're just confident kids. I think boys have just as much confidence issues as girls have. I think they just are given more permission.
Well, and especially, and I feel like especially more now, because like everything boys, boys when we were younger, as like I was never a boy, so I don't know, but I got a lot of brothers. It's like they just had to like do, but now with like social media and some of the really famous, beautiful people, young people being boys with their hair and their bodies
and their earrings and their nails and their makeup.
So it's kind of like become more of an even playing field, and like, and it's very much like bodies where we didn't really think about boys' bodies. I know that some boys had body issues when we were younger for sure, but now like they're seeing boys having buff bodies and taking their shirts off. Yesterday, my boys commented that they saw three different guys with their shirts off yesterday. And they all said what they look like. One was a hairy bear. One was ripped with a six pack. And one just had like a good smooth body with no hair.
The only thing is that men often have a better representation because all the men take their clothes off often without, like older men. So they're constantly watching people with their clothes off in a very different way than when women. That's why if you're a woman,
Take your clothes off.
literally take your fucking clothes off. I don't care what you look like. Like take your clothes off for your children's children, because if you wait until you're a certain place, it's fucking crazy.
It's really hard to take your clothes off for the first time. And that's one of the things that I admire so much about the dancers is that there's never going to be a time when they are like at a pool with a bunch of people or at a resort and they're nervous to take the clothes off because the dancers have been naked their whole life.
Wait, not only naked, judged too. Like actually judged by judges, judging the way they look in their dance because your dance is your body. It's your movements. So they're being like judged while they're doing it, which is so fucked up when you really think about it, but amazing because it's about a dance, not about your actual body.
Yeah.
But what your body can do. So if you are a woman out there, I hope
This summer, wear your bathing suit and wear it around. And you not only will be a great example for your children, but you'll also inspire other women to be like, fuck it.
I also think that we think this conversation is so done because it's been happening for so long. But every time we talk about it, someone's like, thank you for reminding me. I went and bought a bathing suit. So I guess it has to continue on and keep going. And, there's a lot of it's a lot of conversation about what people's bodies look like and what, like, we still tear women down no matter what size they are. It's so fucking crazy. Like
You want to be like, everyone just shut the fuck up about it. Talk about something else. Anything else.
I know.
Things that actually matter.
I know.
But it's what people want to talk about. Hopefully.
But why?
I don't know. I'm like, I just feel like it's been forever.
Like weight loss being an obsession.
Yeah. And then I was like,
You just lost weight at the wrong time.
I did know, but I also like,
It's like we should go back over the years.
I know.
And be like this. It's like, the problem is I think
I
people
should actually take pictures of times when, you know what I mean?
for over the years.
Yeah.
I know. And actually your arms and legs have always been small.
Yeah.
You've never had big arms or legs. Like that, everyone's always been like, oh, your legs are so banging. It's just, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's so
It's just annoying. And it's so annoying. And the one thing I was thinking, I get magazine subscription in my house. I don't know.
I feel like your husband gave it to you as a present one year.
But it's not stopping.
Yeah, they're not going to stop it unless you cancel your
Oh,
subscription.
perfect. I love getting it.
Yeah.
Because it's such a
You think they're going
memory.
to cancel it? They're just going to auto renew you, babe.
But my other ones don't get auto renewed.
Which ones?
So like I had like a home one. I had two.
I remember when he got this for you.
Yeah, me too. I got so many. I got home, food, and I got like,
Maybe they all went under.
right.
There's only one
Nobody's
left.
reading magazines. But anyway, every time I see it, it's like, I feel like it's so nostalgic, an actual magazine. So I hadn't read them, but last night I was reading them. And I also stayed up and watched a murder by myself. My husband fell asleep in bed. I was like, this is so nice.
Thank you for falling
Thank you
asleep.
for falling asleep and just like letting me watch something in bed. And then I turned off the light and went like, that hasn't happened in so long. So, but I'm looking in the magazines and I'm like runway models and models, they're still thin. Like
I know. If you look at Revolve, it's just skinny models.
Okay, so it's never going to stop. So, I mean, what do we just need to get over this thing? Because it's like, it's never going to stop.
Nope.
The only thing I was really impressed was when I went into Anthropologie, and it's more than it ever. They used to have a smaller section. It is fully half the store has mannequins that are, sample size, and all the clothes. The huge section of like plus size. I don't know if the inclusive size. I don't know. Like all the way up, and the mannequins
are all representative of that.
I never seen it like that. It was, and their clothes are beautiful for all of them. I'm like, only an American company can afford to do this. Like,
yeah, that's true.
What I mean, like to be able to carry all those sizes is something only a big company can do.
I think that we need to get fucking over what everyone else is doing. And the whole thing about I do believe that like, you can, our children should not be impacted by what other people are doing. Like if we're trying to teach them about peer pressure and like pressures of the world, like if they're around people who that's what they value, then you need to like really question their own values, because I really do think that we can, in a way, create a culture where if we stopped beating the shit out of it every single time we opened up our phones or online, I feel like the conversation would be so much more, because even when we talk about weight loss as an obsession, it's a problem. And when we comment on women's bodies and like tear it down, it's an obsession. And we need to be like, you're so much more than what, if we're claiming we're so much more than our bodies, then we need to fucking live that.
Right.
And stop being like, oh, this, oh, that, don't say this, don't do that, oh, don't post that because now you're thin. Like, it's fucking insane.
It is. It's crazy.
It's literally insane.
I heard someone say like, weight loss is my weight loss is the least interesting thing about me. And that's the annoying part, is like a lot of people, so maybe some people that are having like transformations and they're working to get stronger and all of this, and like they want to talk about that to inspire others. That's good. But like the constant just conversation about it in general, like, aren't we tired of it?
I think there's like a few things, and maybe this is a part 2 podcast, and probably is a part 2 podcast. But number one, the way you lose weight is that's the obsession right now. So like, if someone, and what we think is acceptable and not acceptable is also the problem, because now we're judging people's decisions, their own body decisions on what they're doing. So let's say someone has gastric bypass surgery. Mm-hmm. If you're this weight, that's acceptable. Mm-hmm. So if you're over a certain weight, okay, that's fine. You can do that because so now we're judging.
We're making our own judgments about when you can and cannot.
When you cannot. So that one's fine. Let's just say you take ADHD medication, which generally makes you not hungry and makes you focus more. So maybe you can work out now. Is that acceptable? I don't know. Maybe not. Like, I don't know. We'd have to put it out to the world to decide if they believed it was acceptable. The seglamidogutides, the Ozempics or whatever the fuck they called. Who deserves that? Who doesn't deserve that? Which one's acceptable? Which one's not acceptable? Who's deciding? I don't know. What if you have cancer and you're losing weight, and no, they don't want to talk about it, and you lose a whole bunch of weight? And oh, you know what? That's not your fault. I'm sorry. Like, we're in such a fucking dangerous territory of who we think is worthy of what. It is so fucked up to me.
And it's still, it still goes on also with like, I still can't believe some of the things I see when celebrities have like gained weight and then they take pictures of them on the beach. And the story is like, so-and-so was like on the beach, but it's a terrible picture of them. And we know what they're really saying.
I know. It's just such it's like the body positivity movement threw us back by always talking about bodies. That's what it feels like.
We never talked about it so much.
And it feels like people are more worthy because of the size they are versus the people of what, like, you're more worthy and brave if you're one size versus another size. It's just so fucked up.
And it's funny. I think of an example of some, like, when I was young, it took me so long to realize that, like, I was late to the game to know about eating disorders, working out, and food and calories and all of that. I was late to the game because where I live, in that house that I lived, it was not a conversation. Maybe it's because my mom was too busy to have the conversation. Maybe it's because she felt good in herself. She went to exercise classes when she was younger, and I remember going to them. But like, it was not ever a conversation. So it like, even if there was happening around, I didn't hear it. Well, maybe because there was no social media and the people weren't obsessed with it. But like, I don't remember when we were younger, it being talked about so much. And
I don't think it was.
And I remember when I found out that my friend had eating disorder, I was so like, I felt like such an idiot. I couldn't believe I didn't know about this.
Let's take this to part 2 till next Thursday, because let's get into weight loss.